Hey Leo, we're here for your weekly tarot love reading September 15th through to September 21st. This is for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, and of course for any of you lovely cross watchers dealing with a Leo romantically. Please keep in mind, Leo, these are general readings. They may or may not resonate, and you're always welcome here on my channel to take what works and leave the rest. So we're going to jump right into it today, my lovely lions, and we're going to see what could be coming toward Leo in love for this week. First message coming out for Leo says, the snake, competition and enemy, the other woman, and looking over your shoulder. So what's coming to mind here, Leo, is that there could be some sneaky behavior that's going on this week. Not everything might be as it seems. There could be something going on behind the scenes. There could be a third party, another person who's in the picture. It does say look after your shoulder or look over your shoulder, which to me suggests like be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what might be going on, because there might be more that's happening than what you initially are aware of right now. Okay, tell me more about what could be coming toward Leo. The golden mirror, narcissist, love bombing, self-absorbed, and one-sided. Okay. So I gotta say, Leo, the energy for this week is definitely coming through as a heavier energy. This card, unfortunately, is suggesting that you might be dealing with somebody who is a narcissist or has some narcissistic tendencies, possibly. It also says love bombing. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the term love bombing, it's kind of this thing where somebody shows you a ton of love and affection, like they come on really, really strongly, really over the top. And essentially what it is, Leo, it's kind of a way to hook you into the relationship. But often what happens is that if somebody is love bombing you, they take it all away later on. It's like they do all of that really romantic stuff to pull you in initially, but then later on, it completely goes away and you're left wondering like what happened? Why were they so loving and caring and wonderful at the beginning? And now I don't see any of that behavior. So that also might be something that you're dealing with, Leo, or maybe the card here is encouraging you to be aware of those potential tendencies between you and somebody who you're dating. Now, the other thing here, unfortunately, is that it's saying like one-sided. So it's also indicating some sort of potential imbalance that you're dealing with here in your love life. It's a little bit tough, you guys. It's actually a lot tough to have these two cards beside each other, because the big message that I'm getting is somebody is showing you what they want you to see, but not the actual reality. I do get the sense that something is being hidden here. I think your person is maybe trying to cover it up by being super romantic with that love bombing. But then on the other hand, we've got the snake. So it's like they might be love bombing you, but then they're also entertaining other people as well. So you might think that you're the only one that they're in a relationship with, or you're the only one that they're dating, but then it turns out there's more to the story. There's maybe a third party involvement here. Tell me more about what could be coming toward Leo. Teddy bear, okay? Interested in you, blooming romance, flirting and wanting to date. That's interesting. I mean, that's a different energy than what we've seen. You know, maybe for some of you, this indicates that you're starting to realize that you're connected with somebody where there's a lot of unhealthy stuff going on. Maybe there's somebody else who's starting to catch your attention, Leo. Maybe there's somebody else who's flirting with you and you're kind of in this position where you're like, do I continue to see things out with the person I'm currently involved with? Do I potentially go and, pursue somebody else? So some of you, I do think, could be contemplating maybe walking away from this connection. I don't know. I also feel like because this card says blooming romance, it does suggest to me that maybe for some of you, this is a newer relationship. And perhaps what's happening is that you've recently started dating this person, but maybe this week you're starting to see things that are going on that are just kind of making you take a step back and try to assess, like, is this a red flag? Is this an issue? Should I continue to see this person? Like, what is going on? So the overall message that I see for this week is that, I don't know, like the message is kind of like ask questions and be aware of your surroundings, because somebody might be trying to win you over by love bombing you, but they're kind of hiding other things that they don't want you to know, and you could find out those things later, okay? So that's the kind of vibe. So here's what we're going to do for the rest of the reading. We're going to look more at this person and we're going to look more at you to kind of dig into this, Leo. So we're going to look at their overall energy, what they might be feeling, what actions they might be taking. I will look at the same thing for you and then we'll look at the potential outcome. So let's just kind of see where it goes. Tell me about this person's energy this week. The Magician. My goodness, Leo. Okay. It's funny-ish, you know, ironically, right? So let's first talk about what a magician is. This is very telling to me that it's the first card coming out for your person's energy this week. A magician is somebody who does tricks, right? At the heart of it, a magician is somebody who essentially presents an illusion. They show you one thing when there's actually something else going on, which is exactly what we talked about in the overall energy. And so this is, to me, if I'm being honest with you, Leo, feels like a problem. Because the very first card coming out for your person is kind of saying there could be an illusion here in terms of what they're doing and what they're saying. Tell me more about this person's energy this week, the Justice card. Okay. I mean, interesting. The Justice card does have scales that represents a situation involving a balance or potentially an imbalance, which is what we saw here in the overall energy, right? Like, it is making me worried that your person is maybe not as invested in you, Leo, potentially. Like I said, they could be entertaining other options because we did have the Snake card. The Justice card, I'm also getting the message here, trying to win you back. Like, the Justice card can be an apology. It can be somebody saying sorry for their behavior. So maybe they lie to you with that Magician card. You find out and then they say they're sorry to try to win you back. That might also be happening this week. I'm also getting lying by omission, you know, like when someone's not necessarily outright telling a lie, but because they're withholding information, essentially they're lying. There could be that as well, where you might find something out and your person might say to you, well, you didn't explicitly ask me that, Leo, you know? And you're like, I know, but you should have told me. So it's like, they're not maybe technically lying, but they didn't give you important information that they should have. Tell me more about this person's energy. The Two of Pentacles, yeah. I mean, the Two of Pentacles is essentially a balancing act. It's like, sometimes it can represent somebody who's not fully in, right? Not fully in the relationship. Somebody who's got one foot in the door, one foot out the door. They're weighing their options. So the Two of Pentacles to me is a problem in a reading where we've already had the message here, the other person, right? So maybe they're entertaining this connection with you while also maybe keeping their options open, Leo. My sense here, intuitively, Leo, is that you've probably been operating under the assumption that they're committed to you. And these cards are definitely getting the vibe that they're not as committed to you as you think. But they're doing it on purpose. It's like they want you to think that they're committed, but I don't think they're actually as committed as they're leading you to believe. There's an element of deception here. What could they be feeling this week? The Knight of Pentacles, okay. I think you're gonna probably notice this interesting thing this week, Leo, where things are starting to slow down. The Knight of Pentacles is a very slow-moving energy within the tarot, and this kind of fits with what I was saying earlier, where I'm like, when somebody's love bombing you, right? They come in, they're very like lovey-dovey, doing all these things to win you over, big, grand expressions of love, big declarations of love. But at some point, all of that really starts to slow down and you start to notice they're not really doing those sweet things that they used to do. What's happening? And it's because it's almost like once they hook you, they stop putting in that effort. Tell me more about what they could be feeling. The Three of Pentacles, interesting. This is a bit of a tough one, you guys. The Three of Pentacles does tend to indicate wanting to work through issues. So on the one hand, do these cards suggest that they're being a good partner? I don't think the cards suggest that. I think there's some pretty big challenges that are potentially showing up on the one hand, but on the other hand, I don't think they're letting you go. This is one of those situations where I think they're like gonna try to keep pulling you back in, even if you're trying to walk away. Tell me more about what they could be feeling this week. And then the Four of Pentacles. Yeah, they just, I'm a little annoyed if I'm being honest. That's the energy I'm getting. I think that's probably how you feel, Leo. Like the Four of Pentacles is somebody holding on tightly and not wanting to let go. And to me, this is really problematic because there's this illusion, there's this love bombing, there's this potentially one-sided dynamic. And so they're doing things that I think are jeopardizing the relationship and not being the best partner, but they're also like not letting you go. And that's also something that I think can sometimes happen when you're dealing with someone who has narcissistic traits, if that's what's happening here, because it's like they don't really want to lose you. And sometimes you'll see them trying to win you back and not letting you go. And I think that these cards are suggesting that a little bit here. Like, even if you do try to walk away here, Leo, I feel like they're going to try to do everything that they can to just like hold on. Let's see what actions they could be taking this week. The Five of Cups. Sorry to say it, Leo, they might do something to disappoint you and let you down this week, okay? Like I said, what could be happening is you're going to find something out, and it's probably not going to be easy for you to hear. You're going to be disappointed, frustrated, annoyed, let down. Tell me what other actions they're taking this week. The Page of Wands. But they think they can make it up to you by being all cute and fun and flirty. There's a real lack of maturity here, especially with that page. Pages tend to be the youngest cards. They don't have to be young in terms of age necessarily, Leo, but they can represent a lack of maturity. And so I feel like they let you down, right, with that Five of Cups, but then instead of fixing it like an adult, they just deal with it in a really immature way, and they try to be like playful and flirty, and they're like, let's just forget about it, it's not a big deal, and they don't really address the heart of the issue. What other actions could they be taking? The Judgment. This is often associated with forgiveness, second chances. I think you're in for a wild ride this week, Leo. You can definitely let me know if this resonates with you in the comments, because this is just my opinion and what I'm feeling. I'm feeling frustrated on your behalf because I feel like they're doing shitty behavior, and then they're like begging you to still be with them and wanting to hold on and not letting you go. So in my mind, I'm like, just don't do the shitty behavior. Like, if you want to be with Leo, I feel sassy, you know? It's like, if you want to be with Leo, be a better partner. Instead of like continuing to mess up and then trying to win you back, why don't they just be a better partner? But I think there's some funny stuff going on here. Like I said, especially with like the love bombing, the other person, like there's a lack of maturity here in the best case scenario. But in like the worst case scenario, there's some pretty unhealthy stuff that might be going on in this dynamic. But I do see them holding on to you this week. And if you do find out something that feels really disappointing or upsetting, I think they're gonna make it hard for you to walk away. I'm also getting the message that they might not fully respect your boundaries. So let's say you find something out and you're really upset, and then you say to them like, I need time and space. I don't think they're going to be super great at giving you that. Like, this is just somebody who is so self-centered. I think it said that actually, self-absorbed. Self-absorbed was the message, right? Like, they're so about themselves and what they want that they're not even really necessarily respecting your boundaries, which to me is a red flag. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's look at you. Tell me about Leo's energy this week. Page of Swords. Interesting. I mean, Page of Swords is like asking questions, being curious. Maybe you're trying to get to the bottom of something here, but don't be naive. That's my advice for you, Leo, with that page, because we just talked about how the pages can be a little bit immature, like less experienced, a younger type of naive energy. Don't be naive here, right? If you're seeing something that's a problem, don't talk yourself out of it. I feel like that was a piece of advice maybe for someone who's watching. What else? What is this? Eight of Pentacles. Interesting. Eight of Pentacles tends to be a card of putting in the hard work. I kind of feel like you do want to make this work. Like, I do feel like you've been putting in the effort. It's hard, right? Like, when we get into a connection with somebody, usually we go into that connection because we want it to turn into something. And so I do think that there is a sense here where you're like, if I just work hard enough, can we work this out? Tell me more about Leo's energy this week. Yeah, but guess what? Eight of Swords, you're probably super anxious, feeling trapped, feeling insecure. The Eight of Swords to me is like that energy of, am I not good enough? You know, if I were better, would they treat me better? And my advice is don't go there, Leo. You know, like, you don't deserve this, right? If they're treating you badly, that's a reflection of their character. It's not a reflection of your worth and value. And sometimes the Eight of Swords can almost be that like, well, maybe I deserve this. Maybe I did something that made them mad. Maybe I did something to deserve this. that's not it, you know? Like, watch out for that negative self-defeatist thinking. None of us deserve to be treated badly. That's the reality. You know what I mean? So don't go into it thinking that, like, oh, I deserve this, or maybe I'm just not good enough. Or sometimes what happens is we tend to put our partner on a pedestal. Watch out for that as well. I'm also getting the message, like, maybe you put this person on a bit of a pedestal, Leo, where you're like, they're so great, I can't believe they would even date me. And then because you put them on this pedestal, maybe you're settling for less than what you would normally settle for, right? Watch out for that. If that resonates, take it or leave it, as always. What could Leo be feeling? King of Swords. Well, I mean, I think you're going to try to approach this by having a conversation. I'm not confident you're going to get the clear answers that you're seeking, but you can definitely try. Tell me more. Six of Wands. You're hoping that you guys can talk this out and come to a successful resolution. I don't know if that's realistic, Leo. I'm just saying based on what I've seen. But I think it's, you know, you can try, right? And then if you try to talk to them and they respond well, I mean, that's probably a good thing. But if you try to talk to them and you're still not getting answers and they're still being deceptive and they're not being honest, like, that also tells you something, right? So pay attention to how they respond. What else could Leo be feeling? The Devil. Yes. So what is the Devil? Toxic stuff, unhealthy stuff, codependency, addiction, bad habits, emotional unavailability, somebody, you know, keeping their options open. So on the one hand, I do see that you're probably feeling a bit conflicted emotionally this week, Leo, because there is definitely part of you that I think wants to feel hopeful that the two of you can work things out. But there's also a big part of you with that Devil showing up that tells me that you know there are problems here, Leo. You are not oblivious to the fact that there is some shit going on here that is not okay. So don't ignore the red flags, right? Which is a bit of a theme. It's like, if you see something that's going on, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right, pay attention to that. So I think that's good. Like, in a funny way, I'm glad to see the Devil because it shows me that you do have a recognition that there are some potential problems here in this connection that are not good. What actions could Leo be taking this week? The Six of Pentacles. Trying to bring things back into balance. What other actions? The Page of Pentacles. I think a lot of your energy suggests that you could be reaching out to this person to try to extend an olive branch, have a conversation. There's a lot of pages in this reading. I'm just throwing that out there, Leo. Like I said, pages are the least mature, the younger energy, the naive type of energy. So it almost feels like you guys might be trying to solve these problems, but like, I don't know how productive it's necessarily going to be. What other actions could Leo be taking? Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So Ace of Pentacles, to me, it's about a new beginning. A lot of the times, to me, it's about loyalty and devotion. I do think there's part of you that really does hope that this person's going to be able to demonstrate their loyalty and devotion to you. I don't know. I mean, there's some problems here, you guys, right? Like, so I think the big message for you is you just have to keep your wits about you and pay attention, right? Because what I'm seeing here is that I don't know what your person's doing. It feels like maybe you can't really trust them right now, if I'm being honest, right? You're hoping that they will step up and be loyal and devoted to you. Totally get that. Of course you have that hope. I understand. But watch their actions, right? Are they actually changing? Are they showing up? Are they committing to you? Or do you get the sense that they're still hiding something? Do you get the sense that they're still holding back? Like, pay attention to see what really feels right. And if something doesn't feel right, don't ignore that. So let's see what the potential outcome is here, please. Page of Cups. We've literally got every single page in this reading. Page of Cups tends to be an emotional confession, a love offer. I'm skeptical, you guys. Let's get two more cards, though. Tell me about the potential outcome. Okay, Knight of Wands. So what have we got? We've got Cups energy, which is water, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We got fire energy, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. Knight of Wands is very passionate. I will say, Leo, relationships where there is some sort of narcissistic tendencies coming into play can sometimes feel quite passionate, okay? That doesn't mean it's healthy. So that's just some food for thought. Tell me more about the potential outcome here. Queen of Swords. I don't know, guys. I mean, the outcome is kind of suggesting the potential to work through things. Maybe your person does come forward with some sort of discussion of their feelings. Obviously, there's an attraction here. I gotta say though, the Knight of Wands to me is kind of like the player of the tarot. I have said this to you before, Leo, if you've watched my channel. It depends on the reading, because I read the tarot within the context of the energy that we're looking at today. Knight of Wands does sometimes show up as a bit of a player. It's like someone who's keeping their options open. So I would be a little bit careful about that. But the Queen of Swords does suggest that an important conversation could be happening. So this could be an interesting week. I don't know that there's necessarily going to be a resolution, but maybe by the end of this week, you guys are talking a little bit more. I'm also getting the message they're going to be good at telling you what you want to hear or what you need to hear. Like, it's kind of weird. I do think there's going to be a conversation, but as I've already been saying, Leo, I would just like really watch what's happening and what's being said, because there was just a bunch of stuff when we went through the reading that suggested something unhealthy going on. And so I think your person is probably good. I'm also getting good at spinning a story, telling you what you want to hear. And so, yeah, they might come in with that Queen of Swords energy and say something and you're like, oh, okay, that seems really clear. That seems really decisive. But I'm also getting a little bit of a smooth talker kind of energy, like somebody who can weave a story with their words and tell you what you need to hear so that they can smooth everything over and then everything will be fine. But is that actually reflected in their behavior? I think that's something you're going to have to assess over time. Yeah, this is complicated. Like, I don't know that this week is going to bring a resolution, but I do think it's going to give you an opportunity to see more aspects of their behavior and start to maybe just take note of that and ask questions and have conversations, and then just see how your person is acting over time. But also, I feel like don't be naive, don't ignore the red flags. And at the end of the day, if you decide that this is not the right relationship for you, I do also feel like this teddy bear card from the overall energy was kind of suggesting that if you're getting kind of fed up with this and you're like, I don't even want to figure this out, like this is too much, there's too many shenanigans, it's too hard to deal with, there could be somebody else around you this week, Leo, who's making you realize there's maybe better out there for you, right? Like maybe you've started to connect with somebody and the energy feels so different than what you feel with this person. And then it makes you start to realize, like, you know, maybe this isn't right for me. I'm not saying this is for everyone. I'm just saying I do get that vibe for some of you that if you're starting to get exhausted trying to figure out what's going on with this person, I feel there is somebody else in your vicinity who is making you realize that, yes, there could be better. There could be somebody else who you date that brings a very different energy, a more honest energy, a more, I don't know, calming energy versus this. So that's kind of what I see for you guys this week. I think it's just like keep your eyes open and ask questions and watch their actions is what I've got. So if you enjoyed this reading, you know what to do. Give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Of course, I wish you so much love and happiness, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.